One of the most important things you can do for the health of your engine, oil changes, regular oil changes. Second to that, the next most important thing that you can do, replacing the oil filter. Like any high reliability machine, if you're running an oil filter, which most of us are, you want to inspect that filter. You want to look at the contents of the oil filter, which will tell you if the engine's making metal. And if there is, then you can investigate further. The way that you do this historically is take apart the filter, cut it open, expand the filter media, look at it under strong light, sunlight, let the oil drain through it, inspect for particles and check for ferrous metal or anything that's not supposed to be there. You've heard the term maybe look for anything that has a part number. Usually you'll see little specks of flake, carbon, small stuff. But anyway, opening up the filter, it kind of sucks. It's kind of a process. You need a special tool to do it. Here's a filter. It belonged to a neighbor of mine. It was over torqued by a mechanic, I don't know who. And in order to get it off, he had to use a pipe wrench. So I'm gonna attempt to open this thing up and just give a little demo of what's involved with opening the filter. It looks like it worked. As you can see, the case was pretty chewed up, and so I wasn't sure if my cutter would work, but so far so good. So that's the filter itself. It's a paper filter of some sort. Some extra parts inside. The outer casing or the housing, which this is all trash now. So really the thing you want to look for is metal particles inside the filter media. And what you can do, you can go and look between all the pleats, and then you can cut this off and open this up. Kind of a process. Let me see if I can get it. There's different ways to do this. I'm using a knife. It sucks. No matter what you do, it sucks. Gotta be careful. Don't cut yourself. Don't hurt yourself. God, I hate doing this. All right, I got all the filter media off of the filter. I don't know what to even call this part. It's part of the housing or canister or whatever. And what I'm left with is all these big pieces, or if you do it more carefully, which I did in this case, you can get it all off in one piece, but you get all the filter media off, and this is just paper that's been saturated with oil. So you set it out, let it sit overnight, look at the contents. If there's anything surprising, you'd investigate further. You know, every time you do this, you're throwing away everything. You're throwing away all the filter, all the metal. I don't know if this is recyclable or not. There's a magnet in there. You're throwing away this housing. That's all sharp and ragged. Get cut sometimes, it sucks. And then all the other pieces, a little rubber seal and the thread and all this stuff. Trash. Well, apparently there's a better way to do this. Instead of throwing away all that stuff, and not to mention, those filters are like $50 now. I mean, I remember when they were like 20, 25, and then I remember during COVID, you couldn't even get them. There was like a shortage. People were selling, you know, spin-on filters for $200 on eBay. And if you didn't have one, well, what were you gonna do? You're gonna buy a filter because that's what you needed to fly your airplane. Here's what I found. Reusable, washable filters. Dude, this is awesome. As soon as I found out about these, I was like, I have to have one. It's made in the USA. Challenger Aviation Products is the company selling them. They have the STC for it. So it's legal to put on a FAA certified airplane. It's real simple. It spins on in place of the old filter. It's still a full flow filter. So what that means is you're still good with your normal oil change intervals that you've been using before with the throwaway spin-on filters, but this is washable and reusable. And there's an element inside that comes out. It's spring-loaded, so I don't know if you can see that. And there's some notches that are machined into the housing. You push it down, twist, and it comes out like that. And there's a spring inside. And then this is just a billet aluminum housing with a heat sink on it, which is kind of nice because it helps cool the oil. And then you've got a steel mesh filter inside. Totally washable and totally reusable. Of course, there's an overpressure ball valve. So if this thing gets full of contaminants or metal or whatever, it's not going to just choke off the engine. You know, whatever oil change interval you're using, in my case, I'm using 50 hours. You just pop this thing out and then you just rinse it off with whatever solvent you use. They recommend using, you know, green solvent, natural, biodegradable stuff that's, you know, clean, good for the environment. But really anything you want to clean this thing with, it'll work. Get the oil off it. You clean it from the inside out, put it back together, press, twist, lock, spin it back on the engine. That's that. So instead of just buying filters, cutting them open, cutting yourself, throwing them away, like you could go with this thing and it's awesome. On top of it, it's got an O-ring, but it's not your traditional O-ring. It's a quad ring, which I'm a big fan of. I first learned about them when I did the nose strut on the 182 with the McFarlane seal kit. So a quad ring, think of it like the profile looks like an X, right? And on the corner of each X is a little bulb. And so each one of those is a sealing surfaces. So it's like 4 sealing surfaces instead of 1. So a traditional O-ring, which is just a round circle, seals just on the edges of that O-ring. Well, with the quad ring, you've got 4 sealing surfaces. So you got to make sure that this thing's put in properly and not twisted or anything like that. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Not much to it. Buy once, cry once, stop throwing away filters. I think I have to look at the manual and I'll update you guys on my next video with this, but there's an interval. These things aren't good forever. They're life limited. So I'll have to double check on the life of these, but it's pretty long intervals. So it's not like you're throwing these things away, you know, every couple hundred hours. They last quite a while. And of course, you can safety wire it in place. There's tiny little holes for safety wire. So no problem putting lock wire or safety wire on this thing. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'm gonna be running this thing in the 182 for now, and I'm trying to get a spin-on filter adapter for the Bird Dog. So once I have that figured out, I'll be able to run one of these. And also the folks over at Challenger, really good family-run business. I talked to them quite a bit so far. They are awesome, super easy to work with, and they've even agreed to give me a coupon code. So if anybody's interested in running these on their airplanes and they want to buy them from Challenger, they can use the coupon code 112adventures. It'll get you 10% off. Yeah, not much else to that, but super excited about this. Can't wait to install it on the 182 and do some real world testing. Oh, one other thing I noticed, I forgot. It's a little bit smaller footprint. So even though it has the same filtration capability, it doesn't take up quite as much room. So it's a little easier to install and remove. It also has a higher flow rate. So I looked into some of the specs. It actually flows better than the paper filters. And it's got that steel mesh screen, which is like medical grade. It'll actually, it's rated at like 20 microns absolute. Whereas the paper was rated at, I think they called it 30 microns, but it was an average. And so that means you can get particles as big as like 60,000 or 60 microns or more through, and as small as like filtered through, you know, filtered as small as 20 microns. So I'm just kind of going off the top of my head right now. I have all my notes back at home. I didn't bring them with me because I wasn't planning on doing this today, but I can get more details for you if you're interested. Again, 112 Adventures, 10% off, Challenger Aviation Products. It's a win. One last thing, you might be wondering, well, how do you inspect the contents if you can't spread it out like the paper filter? Real easy, the same way we do it on some of the big engines, like on the old Warbirds that are running stainless mesh filters. What we do is we wash the filter through solvent. But yeah, pretty simple. Just wash it from the inside out, get all the contents out on something like a piece of paper, or a coffee filter works really good, and then inspect the contents from there. So you're still able to do the same inspection and get the same results. Let me know what you think. Feel free to ask plenty of questions. I don't know if I have the answer, but I have the ability to find the answer for you if you need it. And then, you know, as always, check out some of the other videos. Let me know if you like this stuff by clicking the little like button. And please subscribe if you haven't already. It definitely helps the channel. And we're trying to get to that 2,000 mark, hopefully by Oshkosh. All right, we'll see you there.